Hi, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to do a couple, there's an option for 3 different treat boxes, but I'm going to show you how to do just the one treat box, because once you have the basics, then you can do any decorations on them and turn them into your own. So the one we're going to do is the Grinch treat box, and otherwise known as the mean one, and it looks like this. And I'm just going to show you how to put together the box, and then obviously for each of the other boxes you can decorate as needed or add other details to it if you'd like. There's a Santa one, and then there's also this elf one. Okay, so first things first is we're going to upload our images. So I'm going to go to upload and browse. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is grab the SVGs, and there's 3 of them. So I'm going to click on it and then click open and then upload. And then I'm going to do that 2 more times for the other 2 SVGs. Okay, so these are the 3 that I want, and I'm going to go ahead and click on them and get the green bounding box and then add to canvas. And once they're on my canvas, there shouldn't be much prep other than just identifying your score lines and getting those changed over for your operation. So I'm going to drag this down so that I can see all my parts and pieces, and drag this one over. And this set here, there isn't anything to do. It just needs to cut out. And these colors are actually all marked for you because you do it out of cardstock. If you wanted to add any pattern paper to it, I'm going to leave that up to you, and you can change accordingly. And then I also have, this is showing you that this is the bottom and then the top, and that's just so that we can cover these fold lines on the rim of each thing that's creating the circle. So I leave the B and the T in there so that when you cut them out, you know which one is which, and then how they go, and you'll see it when we put it together. Okay, so for this one, there is a score line on this, so I'm going to ungroup everything first so that I can grab this score line, and then I'm just going to turn that to score. And I'm not sure why that one's purple instead of red, but it is, so we'll just go with it. And then I'm going to attach those so that that score line stays with that piece of white cardstock. And then same thing with this one here. So I'm going to ungroup these so that I can get to the score lines, and then turn this to score. It looks like they're purple in this one for some reason, maybe because red wouldn't show up on that red. And then I'm going to attach. And then we have all the score lines that go with this one, and I'm actually going to choose them over here in the panel just because it's easier to grab them. Those are the little cross scores, and then these are your cut scores. So I'm going to grab all those and tell them score, and then I'm going to hold my shift key and click on this red cone base and then click attach. So that should be everything. I'm just going to click make it to double check and make sure it's all going to cut out the way it's supposed to, and my score lines are where I want them to be. So that's all the white stuff. There should be a lighter green and then just a darker green for his nose that you can use a scrap for. And then those 2 reds should be the same. So I'm going to click cancel and go over here to my color sync, and then just drag this red down into this red so that they both cut out of the same paper. And then I'll double check it again, and yep, there's just the 4 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and get mine cut out, and then we will put that together. We'll assemble it together. Okay, now that we have all of our pieces cut, I'm going to show you how to put these together. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go along these edges where these little tabs are and fold those down on the score lines. And there's a few of them, so it takes just a few minutes, like a minute or 2. It's probably the most tedious part of this whole thing. And I just kind of lightly press down the first time so that it finds that score line, and then I go back through and I kind of give it a little bit more of a good press. This is what's gonna, we're gonna glue this like this, and then the top and the bottom will go on there, and that's what creates the top part of the hat. And then we do the exact same thing with the bottom. So let's just go ahead and do all of our score lines while we're thinking about it. So this is the outside of my paper. Just go down all those score lines. And then on the top part of the hat, you should have a score line, like it's going to make a cone. So you just want to kind of follow, and you don't have to fold these ones as sharp if you don't want to, because we're mostly just trying to get this curve out of the paper. And as long as you've kind of broke the fibers along that score line, it should be good. Okay. So then once we have all those, and then you do these tabs as well, and they should all have a score line on them too. This is where we're going to glue the top of this cone to the top part of that white circle. Okay, so it's going to get glued here like this, and then we'll glue this part to the top of one of those circles. Let's go ahead and assemble first. And I think you have enough room there. I might have to back the camera up in a second, but so I'm going to go ahead and do this top piece first. And so you should have a T on one piece and then another circle that's just a little bit bigger. And I did that, so actually they should be the same. Okay, so I did that so that you can tell the difference between the top and the bottom circles if your colors got changed. And the idea is to put that T on the inside where you don't see it, but we're going to glue these pieces to one piece first and then the other one over the top of it to cover all those little choppy parts. If you have a score tape and you want to work your way around the edge with a thinner score tape, you can. I'm gonna just put some glue on there and see how this goes. It's the Nuvo. Actually, I don't know if I want this one. All right, I had to switch glues and I needed to raise the camera up to give us just a little bit more space. So I'm going to, deciding which direction I want to do this. I'm going to run a glue line along the outside of this with my paper's textured, so I'm just putting my texture down with the T down. It doesn't matter which way you do that. Note to self, if you haven't used your glue in a while, you should probably rinse out the nozzle and store it with the actual cap on it. I was going to switch glues, but I haven't used that art glitter glue for a while and it's not cleaning out the nozzle, so I'm going to have to do some washing. So this is going to be kind of messy, probably not my favorite. So the idea is once you get a couple of these things stuck down there, and you could probably run a tape runner along the edge of this also, but once you get a few of them stuck down, the rest of them should follow pretty well. And then it's just a matter of kind of holding it until your glue sets. And I'm gonna try to get mine down. We're gonna experiment with this because I haven't done a tape runner on a curve like this. So I think what I'll do is one with the glue and then one with the tape runner. And just see, I've done it with the actual art or the score tape, and I do like that. Anything that just holds fast and I don't have to spend forever waiting for it to dry and fiddling with it is better. This is catching pretty fast though. And then the other reason for the multiple layers is so that if you missed a couple of these or the glue isn't holding very well, you just have another chance to kind of catch them by putting that second layer on there, which is why I added those in there too. It just kind of gives it a little bit more sturdiness. And I will say these are fairly sturdy. The grandkid played with them and messed with them when I made them the first time, and there weren't any issues with it at all. I'm trying to decide which side I want the glue on there. And tuck that in, I think. I need a little bit more glue on the surface here. Okay, so the way that should work is it should meet up on this end and you should have a circle pocket thing, kind of like a little cup, okay, like this. And then once that glue is I don't want to mess with it while it's trying to dry, so I'm just going to give it a second to kind of set up. And then once it's set up, then I'm going to glue the top on, which is this piece here. Okay. And then I'll probably just put something heavy in it, like a glass or something, while it sits. And it can sit and dry while we do the other parts. Okay. And if you have a clip or something that you can put here on this end, then I would recommend that too. I don't have any clips, so I can't show you how to do that, but if you had something that you could clip right there, you could save yourself a little bit of hassle with that. It's gonna like even itself out once we put it all together too. It kind of makes itself nice and circular. So I'm just gonna rub where I've done the glue on the top and the bottom. So it should look something like that, and you should have just a little disc that's open. And I don't think I have a cup or anything handy that fits in there. That one fits on top. We'll just balance it. So that's being weighted down while we're going to do the next one. And it's the same idea with the base. And I want to experiment with the tape runner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that's my top. This is my bottom. So I'm going to run this all along the edge and just try to get it as circular as possible without going too far off. And honestly, if it overlaps, it doesn't matter because we're going to be putting the second piece on there to cover. So in a minute, I'll probably end up running that. Actually, I should do that now. It's going to stick to me while I'm working, but it's okay. It'll be worth it. Since we're experimenting here. Okay, so then the idea is same with this, and I'm going to run down the edge where those two are going to meet. And I'll probably put a little bit of glue in there too when we get there, but I don't want to yet just because it'll really make a mess. So I'm going to take that first tab, stick it on the corner there, and then just go all the way around the edge, holding those down as I go. Okay. And if you can get like every third or fifth to stick really well, then you can come back and stick the rest later. Like don't panic if they're popping up on you. I've noticed it does this even when you're using glue. And the more you kind of get to finally stick them, the better they start sticking. It's just this little tedious part here first. Okay, and then it's going to meet up right there. I think I want that one tucked in this time. Nope, I did it on the outside. So it's going to meet right there. The other way to do this, you can't do it because I just glued it right there along the edges, but you can, or on the whole flat piece. I'm picking up scraps too. The other way to do it would be to press it down on your table, but because I already glued it. Okay, runner tape's not working. It's not holding it. I had better luck with the glue the first time. So I'll probably run some glue over this once I get it stuck too, just to kind of make up for the fact that the runner tape's not going to hold it very well. I'm not impressed. You could make the cone first and then stick your edges, but I don't normally do that because you don't know how well it's going to fit over, or if you miss some. This looks like a mess, but it's going to work, I promise. I've done it before, just not with the runner tape. Let's put a little bit of tape glue on the edges here and try to catch it as we go. Maybe the runner tape will hold it long enough for the glue to catch. You could put more of a curve in your paper to like run it on the edge of your counter or something, or like fold this into a curve a few times. Part of the reason I'm fighting this is because my paper wants to stay straight and not have a curve. And I'm telling it, too bad, have a curve. So that's why part of why it's giving me fits too. And then I'm trying, sorry, I keep pulling it up closer to the camera, but I'm trying to look past the camera to see what I'm doing, and that's not helping either. It's gonna pop off. This same method is what I use when I do the conversation heart. So if you've watched that video at all, or anything where you actually need to like put a curve in your paper, we're going to use those little tabbies, and they are kind of a pain to catch at first. Once you get them though, it's worth it. So I'm going to run some glue under there, all over the top here, and then I'm going to do it on the tops of each of these tabs because I'm going to put the base on here and turn it upside down and press it so that I'm not fighting it so much and it's not popping off on me multiple times. Okay, so then I'm going to put this on there where it goes. And don't worry about like if your edges aren't meeting up completely perfect or you end up with a little bit of goo on there or whatever, because we're going to be putting a little border on it too of snow or like the fluff from his Santa suit. Okay, so that caught it. That's what I needed. Okay, so you should have a cup now. I'm just going to run this down in there one more time and kind of press all my edges. Okay, note to self, don't use the runner tape unless you've got the really, really sticky stuff. I think the score tape worked way better when I did it that way. I just was going to see how fast I could put that runner tape on and if it would work well, and it doesn't, so I wouldn't recommend it. Get some of those glue shavings out of there, and then I'm going to run some glue under there because all I have right now is that runner tape, and it's going to need a little bit more. I don't think it'll pop off on me, but I don't want it to if I'm going to give it as a gift and somebody else has to be messing with it. Okay, so then just for finicky sake, you're going to want to make sure that all of your seams are to the back and that your front is clean. So I'm going to make sure I set this aside with the seam in the back, and then we could probably run this. I kind of do an overlap of my seam with this though. So like this seam is going to be offset just a little, and I do that just to kind of reinforce the strength of it. So I'm going to run some glue on this, but I'm not going to run it up in that bubble area. I'm just going to run it right here. That way if you wanted to tuck any other decorations in it or whatever, you could. So I'm just going to run it along the bottom and then kind of underneath that line of bubbles. And then at each end. And then this, I'm going to overlap that seam just a little and wrap it all the way around the base of my cup. Okay. And then this one you're just going to have to hold for a sec too to dry. Again, if you rub that piece of paper down the table, and I'll do it with the next one because I keep forgetting to, but if you like rub it on the edge of your counter or on the edge of something, kind of like you do when you're straightening out a dollar bill, you can do the same thing to kind of put a little bit of a curve into your paper and break those fibers, and then it will hold, it just won't fight you as much when you're trying to make it curve. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And we're going to do the lid, which, same idea, just run some glue on this inner flap here. And you can tell which one it is because it's got this angle to it, and then it doesn't have the tabbies. So I'm just going to hold that on there. Okay. And once it's had a second to dry, this is actually going on the top of this. This is our lid. So again, I'm going to make sure that that seam is towards the back. And then I'm going to run some glue. I really wish there was a way to pull this down faster. We're going to have to just hold it. So I'm going to run the glue on the tabs. And then that seam, I'm going to kind of put towards the back and then just kind of center it and hold it there for a second. I'm not super centered. I'm going to come my way just a little. I'm just using the camera to look because I can't see really. And then you just got to have to hold that for a second while it dries. I have these two white pieces here for fluff on the top of the hat. If you have the actual like fluffy balls or like something that you got at the dollar store or something, you could add to the top as like the little embellishment at the end of his hat, you know, like that fluffy little white ball. You could do that. I just did the papers just in case you don't have that kind of thing. I could like destroy an ornament or something for it, but I'm not going to. So just use the paper. And that seems to be holding. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second. We have to put this around it. So I'm going to rub this down the edge of my counter to show you what I was talking about. And then I'm going to let that sit and dry for just a few more seconds while we do some of the other embellishments, and then we'll come back to it. My counter's not very sharp on the edge, so. Okay, see, so I just rubbed that down the edge of the drawer and see how it like puts a curve in it automatically. Now I won't be fighting it as much to get it wrapped around that. So you can do the same thing with this green piece before you start putting it together and the white piece, and it'll just save you a little bit of headache. Obviously, I didn't do that, but that's why I'm here to show you the mistakes and then fix it. Okay, so this is his face, and I'm going to just put it right here. I want it to be a little bit lower than the edge of my cup, because the cup is going to actually come down over the top of that with the rim and everything. So just kind of pick a spot in the front to put that, and you can either leave it sticking out like this, or you can glue it down to the thing. If you use like a different green for the background, then I would say just go ahead and glue it down. I kind of like the dimension of it sticking out. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue right there. And then, oh, I think I have that upside. I do have it upside down. It goes this way. This is his smile. Those are his cheeks. And it goes, I'm going to go down into the white just a little bit with it, but I'm going to leave it sticking out the sides. And then his nose, if you want foam dots on here, you can. His nose goes with the whiter part to the bottom, like that. And then the heart goes down here on this white part, and just make sure it doesn't go down past the rim of your cup, because you want it to sit flat on the table. Okay, and this part you can either glue down all the way or just in the center too for a little bit of dimension. Okay, so that's what the front of this bottom piece looks like. I'm going to set that aside. Hopefully this is dry enough, and we're going to go ahead and glue this on. My seam is in the back, so I'm going to do the same thing with this. And this time you're just going to run the glue along the edge of your cup lid, or your treat box lid, because there's going to be foam sticking up over the top and down below. That needs a good press. I'm going to have to put this on something and press it a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to do our overlap about right there, and see how I leave the bubbles hanging off the bottom just a little bit and off the top. Okay, and then just wrap it. Come around to the front or to the same side, and you're going to have just a little bit of overlap. And then just make sure that you're kind of centered top and bottom as far as your bubbles going off the top and off the bottom. And then rub a little bit more glue right there. And once that's dry, let's see, mine's a little crookedy here. Let's pull this down. Kind of set it on a flat surface and decide if you need to like raise one side up or down. This side needs to go up a little bit more too before your glue sets. Okay, so there's the top of that. I just dropped a fuzzy. You could foam dot these to make them stick here. You can just glue them the way that they are, like along the top and then the edges, and it'll kind of stick to the top of the hat. Kind of line up your sides. They should match up perfectly so that you can glue them and make them look like they're one solid piece. And I'm just going to run some glue on both sides. Okay, there's a reindeer included in here and a Santa included, but the whole assembly process is pretty much the same. You do the two little pockets, or the two cups, one for the top, one for the bottom, and then go ahead and decorate as you want on the outside. Like you could add other stickers, other embellishments, like we talked about, pieces from Hobby Lobby that include like fuzzies to make the top like more authentic, like a hat. Everything you need is included in the file, but you can totally add to it and embellish differently. So now this should fit right down over the top, which is another reason why they're sized, because the top and the bottom should be just a little different. You're going to have a little struggle getting past those bubbles. All right, so once you have all of your pieces done and they're dry, I've accidentally like kind of pulled on my lid a little bit, so it's popping off. I'm gonna have to glue it again, and I've got glue shavings everywhere. But then you can toss some treats in there, all the goods, gift cards, whatever. It holds a lot. You could put like a small like pair of gloves or a gift card or both, or like little lotions or whatever. And then you're going to just pop the lid on it. Of course, now that I just spread it all open with goodies in there, it's not going to want to pop on again. Okay, there we go. So it's hitting the candy cane. Too full. Pop the lid back on it and give it as a gift or use it as a decoration. I'm going to have to re-glue some parts. So there you go. That's our little mean one. Oh, my hat is crooked. There we go. Or sideways. So there's your mean one. And you can do the same thing with Santa or with the reindeer. And they look really, really cute all together. Just be patient with your glue and hopefully use a strong one so that it catches right away. I'm going to have to go clean out my glue nozzle. So thanks for watching, and make sure you check out the other videos and the free files that are on the site. And I will see you in the next video.